Hey guys, I'm really interested to know what the feminist perception on Miranda is in the play, and like how do they read her?
Yeah, and I'm trying to think if there is anything that's uniform about it. I mean, the general sense, and again, this is just the general one. So when we start talking about feminist, I don't want to talk about feminists in a stereotypical way. So I'm not going to be able to name actual critics, but the general sense, but the person who gets pointed out most is Prospero as as somebody who loves power, and I think that assessment is correct. Although what we make of that assessment doesn't necessarily have to be that kind of patriarchal assessment of that love of power. I mean, he's somebody who genuinely loves power, and this goes back to what Brian was saying earlier about Prospero and his and power. I mean, this is somebody who loves the control that he has over things. He loves the power he gains. Miranda, this I can just say generally in terms of her power and the way she operates, she's somebody who has a kind of surprising and precocious maturity about her that we wouldn't expect, right? Is that fair?
Yeah.
Did you want to go on?
And I'm going to let Christy talk to you just because she's the one who spent the most time with the text, but she is not your typical ingenue in terms of if you think of her as just suggesting innocence and that kind of princess ingenue. This is a wild spirit. If anything, she's more in line with the spirits of the island in the way she moves, in her physicality, and the way she looks. She's got, her hair has not been kept, and she doesn't have on jewels. So in that regard, there is an interesting dichotomy of what she actually is, which is a princess, but she's also been on an island for 12 years, so there's a real lack of aesthetic for her in that way. But she's an interesting lady, and I'm going to let Christy talk to you.
Well, I was really surprised at how difficult it was to develop Miranda as a character because, if you just read the surface level of her text, you could really easily play her as a really kind of ditzy person, and I really didn't want to do that because she, when you look at the text, she disobeys her father by going to visit Ferdinand. She's the first one to propose. She's really kind of rebelling in her own quiet way, and it was really difficult for me to figure out how to do that and keep the innocence that is required for the role. At one point I asked Claire if because Miranda's only supposed to be 15 and I'm 21, so it's been a little while since I was that age, but I asked, that's true, but I asked Claire if she wanted me to try and capture the age of 15, and she said no, just play for the innocence and the genuine curiosity of this character. So I think in response to your question about the feminist perspective of it, I hope that I've approached it in a way that would honor this character and this person as a complex human being and not just a surface princessy ditzy person. So there you go.
Good job, Christy.
Thank you, Mommy.
I'm her mother. I was interested in hearing from Jon about Caliban. I felt sad a lot of the time for Caliban and just wanted to hear more from you about you in that role.
The way I feel about Caliban is that he is, of anyone that's there, he is the only person on the island that is a native, that actually has an actual claim to the island. So, I mean, this, the servitude that I'm in with Prospero, it's a deal, it's a complete deal gone bad. And just talking about that line about the conflict between Prospero and Caliban, the way I look at it is the fact that the text doesn't give us, outside of that, the text doesn't give us anything, suggest anything of what happened with Caliban and Miranda. But, so that leaves it open for the fact that it could be Prospero's perspective on it. It could be skewed anyway, and I really feel like enough time has passed that Caliban's feelings about the situation, any remorse or anything, based on the amount of servitude that he's given, it can be colored by that. You know what I'm saying? The fact that he does conspire with them to kill him. I mean, this is and he's the only one, like I said, who has a legitimate claim to the island, I feel. So that's how I feel about him. Good. Well, it's in the way that it's structured at the end, because he's expecting more of the same treatment, and I think that Prospero's turn in and of itself has given, I mean, because he really is, all of his lines suggest that I shall be pinched to death, I'm afraid he will chastise me, all these things. And then he says, well, take these spirits. And then he gives him the staff. I honestly, myself as an actor, I fought with that decision, in order to, because the staff decision, because I feel like that's Prospero's magic. And I feel like that his native magic is a different thing. And I think that's another imposition. But at the same time, it really works as far as that transition about kind of passing the torch. So yeah, I mean, I feel like once he gets the stick, he stands up a little more upright. He says, "I'll seek for grace." He recognizes some things. I mean, because no matter what's happened, it's still wrong to kill. I think that he realizes that.